Rain lashed the windows, wind howled like a banshee. Inside their small, isolated house, Sarah and Tom welcomed their daughter, Lily.
Lily, a tiny miracle, slept soundly in Sarah's arms.
Tom watched them both, his heart overflowing with love. Little did he know the real storm was yet to come. The fire crackled in the hearth, the only source of light. Tom dozed in the armchair, exhausted but content. A faint scratching sound drifted down the chimney.
Tom opened his eyes, listening but dismissed it as the wind.
Unaware of the two pairs of eyes watching them from the fireplace. Morning arrived, pale and wan, the storm finally passed. Sarah and Tom awoke to an astonishing sight. Two kittens, a sleek black one and a fluffy white one, huddled by the hearth. They were no ordinary strays. These kittens possessed an uncanny intelligence in their large, knowing eyes.
Sarah named them Luna and Cosmo.
The kittens quickly became inseparable from Lily, their purrs a constant lullaby. Tom, initially wary, found himself charmed.
They were like furry guardians, always close to Lily, their eyes never leaving her.
Days turned into weeks. The kittens thrived, growing at an alarming rate. Their playful antics brought laughter into the house.
Tom watched as Cosmo batted playfully at Lily's tiny hand, his black fur a stark contrast to her milky skin.
Luna, the white kitten, was always by Sarah's side, a soft, purring presence. Life had settled into a comfortable routine, but beneath the surface a disquiet lurked in Tom's heart. Something wasn't right. The kittens were too intelligent, their eyes too knowing. He pushed the thought away, irrational, fueled by lack of sleep and the isolation of their home. One night, as Tom lay awake, he heard it, a voice soft as a breath yet chillingly clear.
"He won't take her," Luna whispered, her voice a low hiss.
Tom's blood ran cold. He sat bolt upright, heart pounding. Sarah slept soundly beside him, oblivious. He looked back at the crib. Luna was gone. Had he imagined it? The stress, the lack of sleep, it was getting to him.
The next day, Tom tried to tell Sarah about the voice.
She dismissed it as a bad dream.
But Tom couldn't shake off the feeling of unease. The kittens, once a source of amusement, now filled him with dread. Their presence was stifling, their eyes always watching, their purrs a constant unnerving hum. He watched them, his fear growing with each passing day. They were hiding something, he was sure of it. But what? And what did Luna mean? He won't take her. Who was he? Tom's fear grew into an obsession. He researched local folklore, finding tales of familiars, of creatures disguised as animals, their motives sinister and unknown. The more he read, the more convinced he became. These weren't ordinary kittens. They were something else, something dangerous.
He had to protect Lily, even if it meant confronting the unthinkable.
He decided to get rid of the kittens, to take them far away from the house, from Lily. It was the only way. One moonless night, while Sarah and Lily slept, Tom crept down the stairs, a burlap sack in his hand. He found the kittens curled up by the dying fire. Their eyes snapped open as he approached, a knowing glint in their gaze. He moved quickly, scooping them into the sack. They didn't struggle, didn't cry out. An eerie silence emanated from the sack, heavier than their combined weight.
Tom's heart hammered in his chest, guilt warring with terror. He had to do this, for Lily.
Tom drove for hours, the silence in the car deafening. He stopped by a river, miles from their home. The sack lay heavy on the passenger seat. He could feel their eyes on him, burning into his back. With a shaking hand, he reached for the sack, his heart a drum in his ears. He opened it. It was empty. Panic surged through him, cold and sharp. He had to get back to Sarah and Lily. He sped back, his mind racing.
I need to get back to Sarah and Lily.
He burst into the house, his relief palpable when he saw Sarah and Lily safe in their bed. Sarah stirred, her eyes widening in alarm.
Tom, what's wrong?
She asked, her voice thick with sleep. He couldn't tell her, not yet. He embraced them both, holding them close, the terror of the empty sack a chilling reminder of the danger he couldn't escape. He knew, with a certainty that chilled him to the bone, that this wasn't over. Luna's words echoed in his mind.
"He won't take her."
But who was he, and what did he want? The next morning, a chilling discovery awaited them. Luna and Cosmo lay lifeless on the welcome mat, their small bodies stiff and cold. The sight sent a wave of nausea through Tom. Had he done this? But how? He had left them miles away. He looked closer, his blood turning to ice. Their eyes, once so full of life, were now vacant, hollowed out. It was as if something had taken root in their souls, consumed them from within, leaving only empty shells behind.
Oh my God, Luna and Cosmo.
Sarah, her face ashen, cradled the lifeless kittens. Grief, raw and unexpected, washed over her. She hadn't understood Tom's fear, had dismissed it as paranoia. Now, looking at their empty eyes, a sliver of ice touched her heart. What had they brought into their home?
The kittens. They weren't protecting Lily. They were waiting for something evil to come. And now it's here.
Tom, his own grief eclipsed by a dawning horror, understood. The kittens hadn't been protecting Lily. They had been waiting. And now, it was here. The house creaked and groaned around them, the wind howling outside their door. The storm had returned, fiercer than before, a raging tempest mirroring the fear that had gripped their hearts. The fire in the hearth sputtered and died, plunging the room into an oppressive darkness. A cold draught snaked in, chilling them to the bone.
And then they heard it. A low growl, guttural and menacing, emanating from the shadows beneath the crib.
Tom grabbed a poker from beside the fireplace, his hand trembling. He moved towards the crib, his heart pounding against his ribs. He peered into the darkness, his breath catching in his throat. Two glowing eyes, malevolent and hungry, stared back at him. The creature, for it was no longer a shadow but a grotesque mockery of life, lunged. Tom swung the poker with all his might, but it passed through the creature, meeting only air. A cold dread settled over him. This was beyond anything he could fight. This was beyond comprehension. The creature, a swirling vortex of darkness with eyes that burned like hot coals, turned its attention to Sarah and Lily.
Sarah screamed, a primal sound of terror that ripped through the night. She clutched Lily to her chest, her body a shield against the approaching darkness.
Tom lunged again and again, his blows futile against the intangible horror. The creature moved closer, its eyes fixed on Lily, a hunger so profound emanating from it that it threatened to consume them all. The room grew colder, the air thick with a palpable sense of dread. The shadows themselves seemed to writhe and coil, drawn to the creature as if it were a vortex of despair. Then, as quickly as it had begun, the attack ceased. The creature, with a final lingering look at Lily, dissipated into the shadows. The room fell silent, the only sound the frantic beating of their hearts. Tom rushed to Sarah and Lily, his relief overshadowed by a bone-deep terror. They were alive for now, but for how long? The storm subsided as abruptly as it had begun, leaving an eerie calm in its wake. Dawn broke, painting the sky in hues of grey and purple, a stark contrast to the horrors of the night. But the silence that descended upon their home was more unsettling than the storm's fury. It was the silence of anticipation, of something terrible looming just beyond the veil of reality. Tom and Sarah sat huddled together, Lily cradled in their arms. Their faces, etched with exhaustion and fear, reflected the knowledge that their lives had been irrevocably changed. The outside world seemed distant, a forgotten dream. The isolation of their home, once a source of comfort, now felt like a prison. They were trapped, alone with the knowledge of the darkness that lurked at the edges of their existence.
The kittens, Luna and Cosmo, were gone, but their warning echoed in the silence. He won't take her.
The words, once cryptic, now held a terrifying clarity. Something was coming for Lily, something ancient and evil, and there was nothing they could do to stop it. The town remained oblivious, the silence of the house mirrored in the stillness of their neighbors' homes. Life went on, but for Sarah and Tom, the world had shifted on its axis. They were living a nightmare, a chilling echo of their former happiness. The storm had passed, but the shadows lingered.
Lily, oblivious to the darkness, slept peacefully in her crib. She was their world, their reason for fighting.
But as they looked at her, a chill ran down their spines. for in her innocent eyes they saw a flicker of something ancient and knowing. Some storms, they knew, never truly end.